M&M's, Snickers, and Twix all belong to the same company, Mars. But few people know that it all began with a boy who lost the movement of his legs. He learned how to make candy with his mother and transformed that knowledge into an empire that now generates more than $50 billion in annual revenue. Frank Mars was born in 1883 in rural Minnesota, United States. At the age of 6, he contracted polio and was left with permanent damage to his legs. He never ran again. He was never a typical child. While other children played outside, Frank spent his days indoors. That is when his mother had an idea: teach her son how to make candy. What began as a pastime became an obsession. Frank spent hours in the kitchen, tested recipes, and learned proportions. Without knowing it, he was mastering the one skill that would change his life. As an adult, he became a salesman, but his real dream was to live from confectionery. He tried to start a business and failed, tried again and failed. A third time, another failure. 3 attempts, 3 bankruptcies. All that remained were debts. At the age of 37, discredited, Frank made his final bet. He founded Mars Candies and launched the Milky Way, a chocolate bar inspired by milkshakes that only wealthy people could afford at the time. It worked. In the first year alone, Milky Way sold more than $800,000, a massive amount for that era. Frank had finally won. But the success concealed a secret. The idea for the bar did not come from Frank, but from his son, Forrest Mars. The problem was that Frank had sent Forrest to live with relatives in Canada as a child after a turbulent divorce with Forrest's mother. Years later, Forrest worked in advertising, created a controversial campaign for Camel cigarettes, and even ended up in jail. With no other option, he called his father and suggested turning a milkshake into a candy bar. Frank agreed. The idea became Milky Way and exploded in sales. But their relationship collapsed. Forrest wanted recognition. Frank saw his son as a stranger. Fights escalated until Frank expelled Forrest from the company. Angry, Forrest left the United States with a new idea: to create a more robust, sweeter, and more caloric bar. That is how Snickers was born in 1930, initially sold for just 5 cents and named after the family's horse. It became an instant success. In Europe, Forrest started from scratch and also launched the Mars bar, his own version of the Milky Way. Another success. If you made it this far, follow the channel and like the video. In 1934, Frank died. With no active heirs in the company, Forrest returned to the United States. In 1964, he took full control by buying out his stepmother's share. He fired executives and imposed a rigid, silent, and efficiency-driven culture. Under his command, Mars became a profit-generating machine. During World War II, soldiers received chocolate that melted easily. Forrest saw an opportunity to create candy with a hard shell that could withstand heat. He partnered with the heir of Hershey's. Thus, M&M's were born. M&M's became the best-selling chocolate in the world. But Forrest wanted more. He fought with Hershey's, entered distribution, marketing, and price wars. Then he began aggressive diversification, acquiring chewing gum brands, Wrigley, pet food, Pedigree, Whiskas, veterinary hospitals, industrial food companies, and more. There was one non-negotiable rule: Mars would never go public. No IPO, no external investors, family only, full reinvestment, silent growth, maximum efficiency. The results are remarkable. Today, Mars generates more revenue than Coca-Cola. Snickers is the best-selling chocolate bar in the world, generating around $2 billion per year. In 2024, Mars acquired Kellanova, the maker of Pringles. annual revenue exceeds 50 billion US dollars. You probably consume Mars products every week without even realizing it.